ghosts made me do it. Hello, welcome back. I did the sketch originally on my iPad and I printed out the size that I wanted to paint, as well as 4 little color studies that I could fill out. So I started doing these in watercolor, really bled a lot, so I switched up to some colored pencils. I picked out my palette and just kind of went to town. From the watercolor thumbnails, I kind of had a little bit of an idea of what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do the darker hair and the really green ghosts and the green shadow. So I went ahead and started to transfer. I picked up my favorite red pencil as well as the photocopy blue that I wanted to use to outline the ghosts. I wanted to incorporate a little bit of this kind of lineless style in this painting, especially with the ghosts. I really wanted them to feel ethereal. I grabbed my micron pen and started lining the girl after drawing the illustration on the iPad and then printing it out and transferring it with the pencil and then going in with pen. This is the 3rd time drawing it, if I haven't messed up one previous time. You get a little bit of a sense for the lines, but it's so nerve-wracking putting down those final pen lines. And of course I messed up immediately, but usually most of the time I find that you can kind of fudge ink mistakes if you go in with that lighter first level and then go back and really thicken up the areas, because you have a little bit more flexibility. Every once in a while it looks kind of funky, especially when drawing the eyes. Oh my goodness, I swear I mess up drawing the eyes every time. After I got that line art down, I went ahead and erased the original red pencil and thickened up the ghost outlines, and then went in and just kind of thickened up some pieces of the illustration, mostly the lines that were on the edge, where I knew I was going to have a very strong contrasting color. Time to pick out a palette. I grabbed my watercolor box and kind of just went for a few things that I thought looked right. I knew I probably wouldn't use all of these, but I like to kind of look through and pick the ones that I feel might best capture the effects that I'd like. And of course I have to use my yellow ochre, my favorite color, to paint with, as well as the Periline Violet. And of course, some black. Once I had those colors picked out, I wanted to place them in my palette strategically. So knowing that I was going to make a lime green, I put the green and the yellow together, as well as a couple shades of blue and teal. The colors that I was going to be using for her skin, which a rosy tone and the purple, and then I had my yellow ochre in a separate area. I usually use a lot of this when I'm doing skin tones. Even if I end up making darker skin tones, I find having that yellow base, that really warm base, allows for skin to really come to life, because then you can shade with cooler tones and it gives it an overall very alive sense. Building up the color for the ghosts was a lot of fun. I knew I wanted them to be kind of transparent on the edges, but almost look like cartoon kind of globs. So I went and I did my first pass with that really light lime green, and then went on to a second layer with a darker blue, and then outlined around the ghosts with a yellow color, the bright yellow color. And I think this was really effective. I love the way the ghosts turned out, especially the top one who's kind of peeking over her shoulder. After I did that, I went back with that green and just kind of built up the lighting that I was going to have, that really intense glowing green cast across her face. It was kind of one of the most interesting parts of this piece. I've been enjoying playing with this extreme sort of lighting look. It is more challenging. Last time I recorded a video, I didn't actually end up posting it. There was a really extreme backlit with a neon light. I ended up just finishing it digitally because when I painted it twice and I was just really not happy with the outcome. I deleted the video and I finished it digitally. You can actually check that out over on my Instagram if you haven't seen that yet, or my Twitter. Oh, I don't think I've tweeted it yet. I'll tweet it. So after darkening up the dress a little bit, I just kind of added some of the green to her skirt as if it was being reflected down below where her arms are. I also was sure to leave a lot of room to add that green cast of light in her hair. So when I was adding the dark tones, I kind of kept in mind which pieces would be the high points, where I would have the green light casting. You'll notice throughout the drawing that I go back to her eyes a lot. I had a bit of a problem with her eyes in this painting. Something about it just wasn't quite right to me. Kept trying to go back and fix it, and I really wasn't happy with it. I didn't really end up fixing it until the very end. I spent some time trying to get them a little bit closer, but some of the changes I couldn't really fix, like the size of her iris was just a little bit too big. For the background of this piece, I knew I wanted to do this really interesting, bright, colorful gradient. The 90s theme is really strong in this painting, and I love that aesthetic. I'm here for it. This was definitely inspired by, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the color palette, especially with that really lime green and the pink to blue. It just feels really girly. I do wish that I had pulled that teal at the bottom up a little bit higher, because in the end I think that her skin tone was just a little bit too close to that pink magenta color that I had right behind her head. That's probably the main thing that I would change about this piece if I could do it again. But overall, I am pretty happy with the results. And I originally had a little choker around her neck, like those little plastic extending ones, but for some reason the liner just kind of got weird, and I erased it and painted the whole thing and totally forgot to add it again. But I'm kind of happy it's not there. I feel like it might have been a little bit too cluttered. When I'm watercoloring, I like to just kind of go in layer by layer, darken as I go. That's definitely my favorite thing about watercolor. So that's why when I'm picking my palette, I tend to choose things that are contrasting. So I'll pick my warm tones and I'll pick my cool tones and maybe one in between. I tend to get really interesting results when I paint like that, and it's definitely something that I want to push myself to even use fewer colors, maybe only 3. Building up the tone of the ghosts a little bit more, adding in just a little bit of that teal color to pull it up throughout the painting. I'm so happy with the way these ghosts turned out. I think they're so cute. After I painted the ghosts, I wanted to add just a little bit more of that blue tone to her face, so I went in and just added a tiny bit of that teal. I think at this point I'd been working on it all day, and so I set it aside and came back to it the next day. And after looking at it, I knew I wanted to take that background a lot darker to get more contrast. So I did a second layer, and this is the part where, man, I wish I had pulled that teal up just a little bit further. Oh well, live and learn. I grabbed a couple colors of gouache. I grabbed some yellow, blue, and white, and I mixed a lime green, and I went in and just kind of cleaned up the lines on the ghost forms, because since I had done them limeless, I felt like they were just a little bit smudgy, and I wanted those edges to be really nice and crisp rather than totally blending into the background. And I also adjusted a little bit of the lighting on her face with that gouache before going in and just warming her skin up just a tiny bit and darkening the book and her dress. I'm really happy with this painting. It was really fun to work on. I love the nostalgia kick, and I think that this would actually be a really cute sticker. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Show me your support by liking and checking out my Instagram or my Twitter. Keep an eye on my Instagram. I will definitely be posting if there are stickers available. Great. All right, thank you so much. Bye.